day, sir.
See,
I don't know how
you
you
can't,
get it
you
so
can't
loud.
do Madam like I can.
It's funny here. It's not as funny when you're in like a very like fancy restaurant or hotel, and he does that on the top of his lungs.
I know. I don't remember where we were, but I remember screaming it as loud as like. I think while
Lots of times.
I think while we were in London though, and you're like, "Oh my God,
Malta. It was Malta, the dinner hall.
Shut up. Sit down and shut up."
Yeah.
So, hi, buddy. How are you?
Awesome. Really excited, man. I know we were just going through our pictures because getting everything together for SWAT in a couple of weeks. And there was all those pictures of all those trips, the Malta trip, the London trip when that Good Day Madam came about. And I was like, man,
London.
he would go around to everyone saying that. And we totaled it up, and there's 26 countries that you and I have been together, I think, with this company.
I think there's actually more than that. There has to be. It's insane. You know what? And we used we traveled with Chris and Matey a lot. And one of the things I'll never forget is like Chris's dumbass would always turn around and be like, "Where's Matey? Where's Matey?" So and Matey would just like screw the group, and like her brain would get triggered on like, "Oh, I want to go shop here." Oh, without telling any of us. And so I remember like, "I love London." Looking for Matey, doing that the entire time too. I'm like, "Oh my God." So yeah.
So you got to earn those free trips. I was actually this morning going through all the free trips that you can win, and if you're not tracking those trips, you guys, you're missing out, because I think the most trips I won in a year was 4, and that was pretty freaking awesome. 4 trips. That's a good goal. Once a quarter, a free trip.
Yeah.
So let's go.
All inclusive, all expense paid trips, y'all. Well, Miranda, we have SWAT coming up, and we said that we were going to give our listeners. Oh, and by the way, happy 1-year anniversary.
Yes, it's been 1 year. Don't suck at sales.
That's right. We
made it.
We're just past the year mark, and you listeners keep listening. If you guys were to stop, we would stop having to work every week and do this. So, I'm just kidding. We love giving back and pouring in, and we love just, I don't know, I think all that comes with this, right? And it's kind of like a cool thing. I'm now recognized as Don't Suck at Sales instead of John. So, I mean, I still want to be John. You know, my parents gave me that name. But no, in all seriousness, yeah, we said at the last episode, Mer, that we were going to do something, right?
Stories, how to drum up emotion, how to get people really emotionally invested before we start asking them questions and digging in. We did say that was going to happen, but guess what? It's not.
No, it's not. It's going to happen at SWAT. So if you want to see it, you gotta come. Where are we? 11 days away from that?
We were planning it out, and we're like, you know what? This has got to be on the main stage. This is something that we're going to dig into. Like, we've never dug into it before. Yeah. It's so freaking simple. It's so impactful, and it's not going to be done on the podcast. It's going to be done in 2 weeks at SWAT.
Yeah.
Be there 16th through the 18th. We'll put the link across the screen here for you guys to get your tickets and come see us in real life.
Be there, be square, y'all.
Yes.
So what are we doing today?
Okay, all right. So
if you want to know, like, Miranda, we got to hurry up and tell them what we're doing today before user 37298 gets his panties in a bunch.
That's right. And here's the thing, okay? Because one of the most complicated thing to really figure out and nail down is how in the world do you make like $5,000 or $6,000 or $7,000 or $10,000 of coverage sound like a good idea when it's like $200, $300, $400 a month, right? Like, I know that I was like, what in the world? I remember so many people were like telling me to pound sand, screw off, like when I didn't know how to do this right. And it's an art, right? It's not hard, but there are some pro tips, and we are going to share with you. It's very critical. It's about the critical period equity protection concept. And one of the things, John, that I love that you said about this is, like, this is something that is an uncapped territory for almost every single person.
Yeah.
If you ask them, who do you have life insurance through? Who do you have whatever burial through? Who do you have this through? Who do you have your equity protected through? Like, or mortgage protected through? 99% of the time, they're going to say I don't know one. So it's like something that we can help every single person with, right? So
Yeah, you're absolutely correct. And that's why we always reference or refer to this type of coverage, right? Because this is a separate type. And you go, hey, who do you have your cancer policy with? Right? And it just, what it does is it drums up just a different thought or theory in their brain. And it's crazy because you're like, I can just use some of my life insurance for the burial. I can just use some of my life, but they don't. They compartmentalize it differently. And it's really
yeah,
important for you as a professional to understand that they do compartmentalize it. So we need to compartmentalize it for them. That's really good, buddy. Do you want me to
yeah.
dive in here?
Let's go. Let's
All right.
go. So
So I think it's really
this, hold
important.
on.
Go ahead.
Before you do, this is something that you do need a notepad and pen for because we're going to cover a lot of stuff here. You're going to want to pay attention, and yes, you're going to want to take notes. Hand it over to you.
Okay, so it's really important to understand what direction are we taking it? Are we taking it critical period or are we taking it equity protection? When there is no equity protection, we go critical period. When there is equity protection, we always go after equity protection. But what you will understand is both of them have a purpose. Miranda,
So
the purpose behind the plan gives them the ability to understand.
So here's the thing, for those of you that never maybe have heard of this before, critical period, psychologists say that you should not make any decisions for anywhere from 12 to 24 months after a major like tragedy or something like that happens. So we're protecting a length of time for the client to be able to not have to make any decisions.
Yeah.
Equity protection is to protect the amount of equity, the difference between what they owe and what they could get for the home. Those are the two concepts that he's talking about.
Yeah. All right. And so now, just as a point of reference, I'm going to go through kind of the fact finding because the fact finding helps me understand, am I going equity protection or am I going critical period? Okay. I'm not going in depth with it. There are 8 steps that we're going to cover, Miranda. But it is very helpful that if you resort back to our fact finding podcast to really understand the fact finding, because I'm not giving you that whole rundown of what we would normally do. Okay. So I'm going to kind of do this just with me out loud and then Miranda piggyback as you see fit. So as you're sitting with the client, the first 3 things that you're going to cover out of the gate are going to be how much they owe. So I'd be like, all right, so guys, really quick, what's the balance left on the house? They might say $250,000. If you could sell it tomorrow, what do you think it would sell for? And they might say $400,000. All right, so now I have $150,000 in equity. That to me is a really good triggering point. Okay, $150,000. That might give them the ability to pay off the house, like take what they owe, and then just go buy a little condo free and clear. And we're obtaining the goal with keeping a roof over our head. Miranda, anything that you would kind of add to this idea of equity protection? Kind of something that you may have found from Ashley, which I thought was really cool.
Yeah. So one of the things, Ashley Richard, who wrote like 300,000 in 90 days, she does all her appointments over the phone. And she said that one of the ways that she helps build trust and really drives home the equity is by asking people, so John, what do you think you could sell your home for right now? And they might say, let's say it's 100,000, they can sell it for 2. Great. She'll pull it up on Zillow and be like, I'm looking at your file right now and I see here that it's actually 250,000 that you could get right now, potentially, right? Yeah. So now how much equity is that? And, and I love that because she's like, it makes her sound like she's got the inside scoop and she's done research and it's just, so I love that. But the important part about this is them understanding what that nest egg looks like. And I love asking a follow-up question that's just as simple as, well, would it be important, John, to protect that 150,000? Like, is that important to you?
Yeah.
Because it seems like such a dumb question to ask, but it's something that they're always going to say yes to. And it just takes you one step closer to being able to help them with a yes to the application.
That's right. Right? Because we don't just look for one yes at the end. It's a multitude of yeses to get the big yes. So that's really good, buddy. I like that. Love it. Here's another really important thing too, I think, when dealing with critical period and equity protection, is that people don't really understand Social Security and how it works. And I think that's amazing that not too many people do. So we're here to educate you. On the Social Security, let's say that Miranda she gets $2,800 a month in Social Security, and let's say that Trent gets $1,600 in Social Security, right? Just for example. Well, let's say that Miranda were to pass away, Trent would not get his $1,600. He would get Miranda's $2,800, and his $1,600 would go bye-bye. So it's kind of crazy when you really think about it too, because like as soon as she were to pass, it stops. And then he has to would have to go through this whole approval process to prove that they were married. And then it's like a 90-day stopping of income. And that could be substantial for a lot of people. And so that's where a policy like this really definitely helps them too. And so you guys just really got to start to kind of think about the purpose here. It's really important. Okay. So did that make sense, Miranda, or did I kind of go through that too fast?
No. So in short, that they don't get both, right? If one of the people's Social Security dies, they'll get the greater of the two, but not right away, right? And one of those incomes is gone from that point forward. So that's super important. And this is stuff people don't think about and talk about a lot, right? So really good.
So, okay. So we've already asked 3 questions, right? The first one, amount owed. Second one was what they could get for it. Third one's equity. Then we'll go to the Social Security, whatever income. If you were to pass away, how much money stops coming in on your behalf? They might say $2,800, and then let's say that Trent says $2,600. It doesn't matter. All right, so now they have combined income at $5,200. I'm not going to go through it, but I really do encourage that you go through their bills. Don't just say, what do you think your bills are every month? Actually go through it kind of line item by line item. And let's just say for this purpose, go ahead.
And when one of you passes away, what kind of bills would be left over? What would, Jessica still have to pay to keep this house going?
Yeah.
Right? It's a great really way to put it.
Yeah, it's really important. So again, we're not going to go through them all just in lieu of time here, but we'll say again, mortgage at $1,600, cell phones, all of that. We're going to go through line item, but let's just say that their total bills are $4,200. All right, so now we got that, and then we're going to go with additional assets. That'd be checking, savings, 401k, IRA. Let's say checking, they don't have anything. Savings, let's say they have $5,000. 401k, let's say they don't have it, and then IRA, let's say they don't have it. Okay, so this is kind of like the typical American elderly couple. All right, and so ideally they want $250,000 in coverage, right? And they want to pay $100 a month for it, which we're getting ready to offer them $30,000 in coverage for $260 a month, right? And so it's we want to stay away from the idea. So even if they say, well, again, full coverage amount, and that's what they tell you, stay away from it. You know that you're walking into it where you're not going to be able to offer them a lot of coverage. Stay away from full mortgage payoff. Stay away from stuff like that. We're always kind of alluding and referencing kind of this critical period and equity protection, and the setup's super important. So in this particular scenario, $250,000 owed, $400,000 balance, $400,000 that they could sell for $150,000. My brain immediately goes towards equity protection. So when I find out that, I am immediately going toward equity protection, and that's how I'm setting up and gearing up the rest of the presentation. So I'm going to do things like this. And is there anything that you kind of add before I kind of go down this path, Mark?
I would, after you book the appointment, you'll also know, right? You'll know if they're someone that's older, right? And they're over 65 or 70, or if there's a lot of health issues, when you start doing underwriting and term is not showing up, this is where you're going, but you'll know from the phone call a lot of times too.
Yep.
So.
Okay. So $150,000 in equity. I already know where I'm going. This is kind of all in the setup. So now I got my fact finding, I got it all together, and we're just going to kind of lightly talk about it and say, all right, so Miranda, really quick, Miranda and Trent, do you guys see what I see here? So I see right now that you guys have about $4,200 a month. That's what it's costing you to run the household. I see that Miranda, you're at about $2,800. Trent, you're at about $2,600. Combined $5,200. So it looks like if either one of you were to pass, we're definitely relying on the other's income. Is that pretty accurate?
Yes.
Okay. And you guys are about my parents' age. So would it be all right if I called you mom and dad?
Yes.
Is that all right?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to treat you the same way that I would treat my mom and my dad. Here's the thing. I don't ever want anyone to be insurance broke. I have a lot of clients. a lot of clients that have stuck with me from day one is because we go down the necessary path instead of like the plan that's going to benefit John. It's the plan that's going to most benefit you. Okay. All right. So
Okay.
mom, do you see what I see here? Is that like, if he were to pass away, that you would be upside down about $1,400 a month. Do you kind of see that?
Yes.
All right. And so as it stands today, right, we don't have mortgage taken care of. We have nothing. But as it stands today, kind of talk to me like, how would you offset that for $1,400 a month?
I don't know. I probably have to get rid of one of the cars or get another job or something.
Okay, get another job, get rid of one of the
Yeah.
cars. Anything else that you can kind of think of, or
Maybe get rid of this place and get something cheaper.
okay, so just at the bare bones minimum, we're forced to get rid of the house.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then let's reverse the roles. Trent, same thing, right? Like with Social Security, I don't know if you guys know how Social Security works, but like I guess the cool thing is that you would be getting hers, but you would be losing yours, right? So it's you're upside down 1,400 as well. Same question. How do you see yourself offsetting that $1,400? Just this is as it stands today. This is without before you met John. As it stands today, we're gonna ask the same question, okay? So do you see how like they're already in the mind frame of getting rid of the house? That's what I want. I want that. I want them to own that. I want them to admit that. I want them to say that. Does that make sense, Mer?
Mm-hmm.
So now I get to head down the path. Okay. So I see the exact same thing, Mom. And really quick. And again, guys, that might seem corny or cakey, but I promise you the emotional EQ on how it connects with people in this very strange way. I don't know why. I'm not a psychologist, but it's really cool how, like, I used to do it at the kitchen table and watch them kind of turn around, but still do it over the phone. So anyway, Mer, so now I hear you. And Miranda, Trent, Mom, Dad, I don't want you guys insurance broke. Does that make sense? Like the last thing I want you to do, because let's be honest, Mom, Dad, if we went after the full mortgage amount at your guys' age and some of your health challenges, the insurance, the mortgage protection, it's going to be more expensive than your mortgage payment. We don't want that, do we? You guys don't want to take on another. You can't even afford to take on another mortgage payment, can we?
Right. Yeah.
Right. So I don't want you insurance broke. I want to do for you what I do for my parents, but what most people do in your situation anyway. This is going to be called an equity protection policy. And here's what it's going to do. You guys have $150,000. And I'm going to let you guys choose, but here's what it's going to do. All right. That if God forbid something happens to Mom, Dad, you're going to be able, we're going to get the mortgage taken care of for 12, 18, 24 months. Where you'll be able to prep the home for sale, sell it, get it sold, take the $150,000 in equity, and then boom. All right. So anything that you would add there, Mer? I mean, with that concept or that idea?
No, I know it's in a lot of the scripts where it's like, when you pass away, the mortgage company doesn't come bang down your door and say, hey, give us the whole 200 grand you guys owe, right? Like, what are they looking for? The mortgage payment, right? And I like to ask them directly and say, John, the bank's not going to come to you and say, give me the whole 200,000, are they? No. And and then they laugh and it's kind of a joke, but I'm like, they just want the mortgage payment. So that's really what this helps you do. Keeps, everything going, in the meantime.
Yep. That's good. That's good. All right. So now you got that kind of concept, and let's kind of pivot over to critical period, Miranda. So what we would do is, let's say they don't have any equity. Let's say they owe 250. And then let's say that they only, if they were to sell it tomorrow, it'd be $275,000, right? So
or it's a reverse mortgage, or
Sure.
they have a reverse mortgage and they don't, this would work for that.
Yeah. Again, same idea. Everyone's like, oh, reverse mortgage. They get all cobbled up with it. No, we're going to go down.
Or the people say that they don't need equity protection because they have enough money and they don't want it because this is also a great solution for people that this is a luxury for, or that you may think it's a luxury, right?
So true. And so then what we're going to do is we're going to look at their bills of $4,200 a month. And then this is going to be the critical period concept. Listen, it takes time, right? And so that's kind of so if they didn't have any equity whatsoever, I'm now pivoting to critical period. and kind of pointing, like, look at, we're upside down $1,400 a month, right, Miranda?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. You're upside down $1,400 a month in this house instantaneously. So what I need to do is I need to give you that we need to offset that $1,400 a month for a while. And so I'm not trying to get their full $4,200 a month, Miranda. I'm just offsetting what their net negative is. So I can extend it for a much longer period of time. You see what I'm saying? Because if I went after all of their bills, well, because if I can only get a $40,000 policy, I might not. But if I can get a $1,400 a month, I might now be able to cover them for 3 years. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of like a cool way of looking at it. That's why going through that fact finding is extremely important. So Miranda, you're upside down $1,400 a month. Here's a policy that I want to do. Policy that I want to do is it's going to bury him because you don't have any burial, and it's going to cover all of your bills for the remaining 2 years, right? You can pitch it like that, or you can just say, if they do have a burial policy, you can say, look, this is going to help you out for 3 years. It's going to give you 3 years to figure it out, because as it stands right now, you don't have any time to figure it out. This policy is actually going to give you 3 years, or this policy will give you 2 years. And all we're doing is just putting $1,400 a month times 12 months times, or whatever, times 12 months or times 24 months or times 36 months. Do you kind of get that concept or get that idea, Mar?
Yeah, that's cool. I actually have never thought of doing it that way, doing that difference, that gap, that difference that they're trying to make, that deficit. That's really cool. Normally, the way I look at it is, for example, I had a law professor that I met with, and he didn't need coverage. And he was like, I have like $1 million of life insurance. I have all these properties. I have. And he goes, but I'm going to die first. I know I'm going to die before my wife. And I want to make sure that when she dies, all of the bills are taken care of and all the expenses.
Yeah.
So she wanted the pool guy, Amazon bill. She wanted everything. So we put it all together and we bundle, because psychologists say don't make any decisions for 12 months to a year. He goes, I want to have 3 years where she doesn't have to think. We don't need it, but I want it as a luxury for her so that she can relax, because she's going to be heartbroken, when she loses me. And so we did that. And so a lot of times I'll ask people, do you want to do just the mortgage payment by itself, or did you want to do that? And tell me what bills are important to include when Bob's gone that you want to make sure are paid.
Yeah.
Right. And then I met with this couple that I met with 7 years ago, and they remembered that, the psychologist thing. And they also had written out the 4 or 5 bills that were included in the mortgage equity protection policy, because it was that important. And when you've now made a policy like that, like it's like, you handmade it with them, they'll remember that forever. Right. Yeah. And no one can replace that kind of stuff, because you guys did it together. Right. So
it's true. And I promise you because there's a purpose for that policy. If you guys just say, $15,000 in coverage, or $20,000 in coverage, you're not creating a purpose behind it. I talk about this so much and so often. I promise you, the purpose is so important. The purpose for what that plan does. When you have the purpose for what that plan does, when you're itemizing out like that, Miranda, they're going to remember it forever. Putting their head on the pillow at night, knowing it, all right, we can breathe. If God forbid something crazy does happen, she's taken care of for a little bit. He's taken care of for a little bit, whatever the case may be. And I'm telling you, it's the purpose is the most important thing to this whole thing.
And one last thing, I know we're way over time of how long we usually go.
It's okay. I think this is a really good one, though.
So okay, let's say we can only get them $10,000 of coverage, but their mortgage is $100,000, right? If they're 70 or younger and you have your health license, you can do up to $500,000 of accidental death with Mutual of Omaha.
Yeah.
So you do the rest of that mortgage payment on an accidental death policy, and bundle it all together with the price, and say, Bob, if you die by natural causes, you get that 1 year, whatever it is, paid of bills or whatever it is. But if you die by accident, like slip, fall, car accident, the whole mortgage is paid off. So it's a really cool way for, an extra 10, 20, I think $20 a month is $100,000 of coverage for like a 70-year-old.
Yeah.
You can do a lot with that.
Yeah, so, and it's a compilation there too, which is really cool.
Yeah.
I do. I love it. And again, I think we could sit here and talk for an hour on this and see how excited we kind of both get when we start talking about it, just because we know that there's a need for this. And hopefully this one helps you, makes you suck at sales Don't suck at sales, just a little bit less. So love it. We do. Again, great topic, great talk. Appreciate you, buddy. And Miranda, if they don't want to suck at sales, what should they do?
Come see us in Dallas. Slots coming up the 16th through the 18th of May. Number 1. Number 2, press subscribe, like, and we'll see you next week.
That's right. Bye, y'all.